Hello everybody, and thank you very much for joining us today during this webinar. The topic will be retinol, retinol-like, Bakuchiol, why so much buzz? My name is Marie Delasson. I'm the General Manager at Sytheon Asia. At Sytheon, we provide highly defined active ingredients in the range of anti-aging, problem skin like acne or hyperpigmentation, skin protection, pollution, and blue light. So let's begin. We can begin the presentation by having a little look over the history of retinol, which has been described as a gold standard in anti-aging. Retinol was first identified by Paul Carrer in 1931. Paul dedicated his work into vitamins. He showed that the human body can transform a pigment from carrots, beta-carotene, into vitamin A, and he identified the composition of this essential vitamin. His work was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1937. Vitamin A is a fat-soluble vitamin and essential nutrient for humans that includes different compounds such as retinol, retinaldehyde, retinoic acid, or beta-carotene. They are synthetic, well-defined compounds. It's only in the early 70s that Retin A, a brand name of gel containing retinoic acid, was approved by the FDA for acne treatment. Soon enough, patients reported a reduction in fine lines and hyperpigmentation. After that, multiple studies confirmed the efficacy of retinol as a global anti-aging agent. It has various functions. It can increase the collagen production. It can increase the cell turnover, inhibit the MMPs. And as a consequence for your skin, it means a reduction in wrinkles, fine lines, hyperpigmentation, and it can improve the skin texture. After all, it's been described as the #1 anti-aging solution for dermatologists, and it can be confirmed on PubMed. If you look, there are over 65,000 citations with retinol, and on Google, you'll see over 70 million hits for the keyword retinol. Even if it's been described in clinical trials for its efficacy, retinol has some serious drawbacks. The first one is its photochemical and hydrolytic instability. The degradation of retinoid might induce phototoxicity for the skin. This is why usually a night application is recommended for retinol. If you have sensitive skin, retinol can induce irritation, flaky skin, or erythema, so it's not always suitable if you have a delicate skin. Furthermore, it's not stable in formulation. Most retinoids have optimal stability at a pH of 6 to 7, plus they must be protected against oxidation by using antioxidants or by preventing incorporation of oxygen in the product during use with alulaminate tube, for instance. Talking about stability or lack of stability about retinols, I would like to stop a few minutes with these 2020 Slovene publications. Scientists compared 12 commercial products with various price ranges, various formulations, but they all contain retinoids that can commonly be found in cosmetics, such as retinol, retinyl palmitate, or beta-carotene. They evaluated the stability of those formulations for 6 months by measuring the initial content in retinoid after 6 months at 25 degrees and after 6 months at 40 degrees with HPLC. And this is the result you can see on the right side of the screen. The result was they observed a decline in retinoid content in almost all tested products. Most of those products declared a 6 or 12 month shelf life, and actually more than 2/3 had less than 80% of the initial retinoid compounds at their shelf life. So this study confirmed the retinoid chemical and physical instability and questioned the efficacy of retinoid over time. Either because they couldn't use retinol as they had a sensitive skin, or they were looking for natural alternative to retinol, consumers have been looking for retinol-like products those past few years. It's confirmed on Google. You'll see there are over 35 million hits for the keyword retinol-like products. On the B2B side, if you check UL Prospector, you'll see that there are 7 active ingredients which are so-called alternatives to retinol. When I say so-called, most of them have limited studies or limited clinical results comparing their ingredient to retinol. Only one ingredient had complete in vitro, ex vivo, and in vivo studies versus retinol, as well as peer-reviewed publications, and this is Sytenol A Bakuchiol. What is Sytenol A Bakuchiol? Bakuchiol is the Inky name, while Sytenol A is a commercial name. Bakuchiol is a meroterpene. It was first isolated in 1966, and it's only in 2007 that the first commercial use in cosmetics topical application occurred with Sytenol A from Sytheon. On the left side, you can see the plant where Bakuchiol is coming from. It's called Psoralea corylifolia or Bapshi plant. From the Bapshi seeds, we proceed with the monomolecular extraction, which means that we only extract Bakuchiol with a purity over 99%. The result is an oil-soluble, yellow to yellowish-brown viscous liquid, and the recommended use level is between 0.5 to 1%, and it's been clinically tested. Now, if you look at the structure of Bakuchiol at the bottom left, you'll see that there are no structural resemblance to retinol. So it's only a functional alternative to retinol, but it has no similar chemical structure. Now the natural origin, we saw it. It means that it's natural ISO 16128 has an index of 1. Bakuchiol is also approved by Natro. It is photostable, so day application are possible. Besides, it's devoid of hydrolytic stability problem, which means it's also easy to formulate. There are multiple clinical studies to validate the efficacy of Sytenol A in both anti-aging and anti-acne products. It's also adapted for sensitive skin. It's globally compliant. In Europe, Sytenol A is registered with a strong toxicological dossier. And recently, Sytenol A has been approved to be used in cosmetics in China. This is breaking news, and I'm very happy to announce that since August 2022, Sytenol A Bakuchiol is now eligible to be used in China. Sytenol A has been categorized as a low-risk ingredient. Its function was described as antioxidant and skin conditioner with a range of concentration between 0.1 to 2%. Various applications can be used with Bakuchiol with skincare, scalp care, and lip products. So to be clear, only Sytenol A Bakuchiol can be used in cosmetics in China, either when you manufacture in China or when you import finished products into China. As per Chinese regulation, it's forbidden to use another quality of Bakuchiol. And for the next 3 years, there will be a monitoring of the cosmetovigilance of products containing Bakuchiol on the Chinese market before final approval and before Bakuchiol will be listed on the IECIC list. Let's spend a few minutes to describe the mechanism of action of Sytenol A, or why is it called a true retinol-like? How does it bring extended anti-aging benefits to the skin? First thing first, Sytenol A is described as a retinol-like compound. And we were able to show on the genes level that most genes answer the same way to retinol and Bakuchiol, making Sytenol A a real retinol-like ingredient. We'll see into details in the next slides how we were able to prove this aspect. Secondly, Sytenol A is a collagen stimulator. It can significantly stimulate collagens from neonatal, so type 1 and 4, or mature, type 3, fibroblasts, and pretty much the same way as retinol. Thirdly, it can protect the skin against oxidative stress. It's a broad-action scavenger against peroxynitrite, superoxide, hydroxyl radical, and singlet oxygen. Actually, it's more powerful than alpha-tocopherol and resveratrol. It can also be used to stabilize retinol in your formulation. And last but not least, it can protect the skin against inflammatory stress by inhibiting multiple genes and markers of inflammations, such as COX-1, COX-2, or 5-lipoxygenase. As you can see on this slide, there have been multiple studies on Bakuchiol over the past few years, either from Sytheon or from our customers. In vitro, ex vivo, and clinical studies have been published in peer-reviewed journals to validate the efficacy of Bakuchiol in both anti-aging and anti-acne. In the next couple of slides, I will show you some of those results to explain why Bakuchiol has been validated on the scientific level as a true alternative to retinol. We can review this first publication from 2014, published in International Journal of Cosmetic Sciences. On the left side, you're looking at a volcano plot. It's a DNA microarray study using epiderm tissue between Sytenol A in red and retinol in blue. What you're looking at is a dramatic similarity in gene expression profile of those two compounds. It was the first hint to show that Sytenol A might behave as a retinol compound on the gene expression level. Now, if we go deeper into details, if we check the modulation of retinoid binding and metabolizing genes. In blue, you have the results with retinol. In pink, the results with Sytenol A. And what we can see is many genes answer the same way between Sytenol A and retinol. It's essential for Sytenol A to function as a retinol to stimulate or inhibit the same kind of genes. And if you check the modulation of extracellular matrix gene and dermo-epidermal junction genes, you can see that we have similar signatures between retinol and Sytenol A, and an intact and hydrated extracellular matrix genes is essential to maintain useful skin. However, one remark, you can see that not all of the genes answer the same way between Sytenol A and retinol, which can explain also why there are differences in terms of skin tolerance, as Sytenol A is better tolerated by the skin. We will see that in a further study. In this study, so almost 10 years ago, we were able to provide evidences that Bakuchiol, even if it has no chemical resemblance to retinoid, can function as an analog of retinol. The second publication we will discuss now, I like to call the game changer publication. The University of California, UC Davis, published in British Journal in Dermatology in 2019. It's a double-blind assessment of topical Bakuchiol versus retinol for facial photoaging. During 12 weeks, they studied 44 patients who applied either Bakuchiol at 0.5% in a cream or retinol at 0.5% in a cream. Then the volunteers met with dermatologists to assess the results in photoaging and also the skin tolerance. Now you're looking at the results. In blue, it is the results observed with retinol. In pink, with Bakuchiol. You can see that on the left side, we had a reduction in the fine wrinkle surface area continuously after 4, 8, and 12 weeks. And the differences observed between retinol and Bakuchiol were not significant. And on the right side, you can also see a reduction in pigment intensity between Bakuchiol and retinol. What was particularly interesting about this study was to look at the skin tolerance. Indeed, there were more subjective reports of itching and burning in the retinol group, but those data were not statistically significant. However, if you look at stinging, it was statistically significant that there were more reports of stinging in the retinol group compared to Bakuchiol. So the consequence of this study was that Sytenol A was able to match the established benefits of retinol, but with a much better skin tolerance. After this publication, there has been a very strong interest on Bakuchiol from key opinion leaders. Let's talk about the digital buzz that was generated on Bakuchiol after this publication. So if you look at the Google Trends, you can see that the popularity of Bakuchiol increased dramatically after the publication in British Journal of Dermatology in 2019. Mintel listed Bakuchiol among the top trends in 2019 and beyond for Bakuchiol. So many key opinion leaders, so magazines, but also YouTube videos were published about Bakuchiol, so from CNN, from Vogue, making Sytenol A one of the most wanted active ingredients in the world. Bakuchiol was also very popular among the youngest generation. If you check on TikTok, the hashtag Bakuchiol represents over 39 million of views. And as a reminder, TikTok viewers' main age category is between 18 to 24 years old. Is Bakuchiol suitable for sensitive skin? This 2020 study provides some clues regarding the efficacy and tolerance of Bakuchiol for sensitive skin. In this study, 60 female subjects were hired between 40 to 65 years old. They had sensitive skin, and when I say sensitive skin, a third had eczema or atopic dermatitis, a third had rosacea, and a third had cosmetic intolerance syndrome. They tested a nature-based cleanser and a moisturizer twice daily containing Sytenol A Bakuchiol, and various parameters were measured to assess the efficacy as well as the skin tolerance. The company who tested this product is Burt's. They showed that not only their product containing Bakuchiol had excellent efficacy, so improvement in both visual and tactile smoothness, improvement of radiance, overall appearance, and also global anti-aging, but they also showed that their product containing Sytenol A was suitable for this challenging sensitive skin population with no side effects reported. So at 1%, this lotion with Bakuchiol was shown to be very well tolerated and effective for individuals with sensitive skin, so eczema, rosacea, and cosmetic intolerance syndrome. The last study that we will review together was published in International Journal of Cosmetic Sciences in 2022 by Beiersdorf scientists. They were able to validate Sytheon's finding by showing the multidirectional efficacy of Bakuchiol against cellular hallmarks of skin aging. They showed that Bakuchiol profile shared common features with retinol, but demonstrated better performances than retinol, being a strong antioxidant, also with the stimulation of fibronectin. And last but not least, they showed very positive finding about wound healing with Bakuchiol. Here you're looking at the anti-inflammatory results between Bakuchiol in green and retinol in blue, and Beiersdorf scientists validated that Sytenol A has stronger anti-inflammatory effects than retinol. They also confirmed Sytheon's finding that Sytenol A and retinol stimulate collagen production the same way. And last, they show that both Sytenol A and retinol can stimulate fibronectin production ex vivo. but Sytenol A showed higher wound healing effects than retinol. As Bakuchiol became more and more popular over the years, we saw a lot of Bakuchiols on the market. So let's see together what is real Sytenol A Bakuchiol. Sytenol A is a unique Cas number. We saw that it's a 99% well-standardized Bakuchiol. It contains very low residual solvents, less than 25 ppm in our specs, typically it's less than 10 ppm. And it contains very low psoralens content, less than 25 ppm, typically it's less than 2 ppm. Psoralens, they are inherent compounds from the plant Psoralea corylifolia. They are phototoxic compounds which should be avoided in cosmetics. So this is why Sytenol A goes into a stringent process to make sure that we remove most or all of the psoralens in the products. Finally, Sytenol A has been described as a retinol-like compound based on double-blind randomized clinical studies. So if you'd like to know more, feel free to check the website www.bakuchiol.net. As a summary, Sytenol A is safe for topical use in cosmetics. On the other hand, Bapchi oil or Bakuchiol are undefined oils. The inky name should be Psoralea corylifolia seed oil or plant extract. They contain no or minor amount of Bakuchiol. Possibly they have high residual solvents, but especially high psoralens content. Again, psoralens are phototoxic compounds. They should not be used in cosmetics. If you check the literature, you will see that the described use of Bapchi or Bakuchi oil is for traditional Ayurvedic medicine, which is based on the use of furocumarins or psoralens. As a consequence, Bapchi oil or Bakuchi oil are not standardized, they are potentially phototoxic and should not be used in cosmetics. Last but not least, only Sytenol A Bakuchiol can be used in cosmetics in China. Psoralea corylifolia extracts are forbidden in cosmetics in China. We purchased several so-called Bakuchiols on the market and especially on Amazon.com. And we measured both the Bakuchiol content and the contaminant content. So you can see 4 products. They had between 1.6 to 12% of Bakuchiol. So in terms of efficacy, you won't be able to claim the same claims as with Sytenol A and 99.9% of Bakuchiol. But very importantly, if you look at the contaminants content, so in blue, the psoralens or isopsoralens content, and in gray, the residual solvents, you can see some high percentage of psoralens and residual solvent in those Bapchi or Bakuchi oil. There is a confusion between Bakuchi oil and Bakuchiol, which can lead to important issues in terms of regulatory compliance, efficacy, but also toxicity. More and more brands have been claiming to use Bakuchiol in their products. Therefore, in 2020, Sytheon commissioned an analytical study to assess the level of Bakuchiol in 9 commercial cosmetics products that came from the US and from Europe. The results found that most products contained the amount of Bakuchiol that they claim. Only one, herbivore Bakuchiol serum, contained only ppm of Bakuchiol when they claim 1% on social media. I believe that the cosmetic industry has an obligation of transparency towards our customers, and we owe to them to deliver the efficacy that we claim. In light of this first study, Sytheon recently conducted a new one with studying 20 products. So the result can be seen here in pink on the screen. Fortunately, most of the brands followed the recommended use level of 0.5% of Sytenol A Bakuchiol. However, 25% of the tested product had false claim with no Bakuchiol. So the confusion between Bakuchiol and Bakuchi oil can lead to mislabeling. And with more and more information available to the end consumers, it's up to the cosmetic industry to carefully assess the quality and the claims that we use in our products to maintain the trust of the customers. As a summary, what is Sytenol A Bakuchiol? Sytenol A, it's more than 15 years experience in sourcing and production with large-scale GMP manufacturing process. In terms of quality, Sytenol A is a monomolecular compound with very high purity standard, typically more than 99.5% of Bakuchiol. It contains very low contaminant standard as well. Regulatorily speaking, it's the only REACH registered Bakuchiol, as Sytheon is the sole registrant in Europe. It also means that we have full proprietary tox and ecotox data, which are specific to Sytenol A. Sytenol A is the only Bakuchiol approved for cosmetics in China. And we have a lot of in vitro and in vivo peer-reviewed publication, which are data exclusive to Sytenol A. As a conclusion, there are more than 120 million finished products sold worldwide with a monitored cosmetovigilance. So Sytenol A is the only safe, registered, and efficacy-proven Bakuchiol on the market. The whole team at Sytheon would like to thank you for listening to this webinar today. If you have questions, we will be happy to answer now. Otherwise, you have our contact information on the right, so feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.